God, it's on again. I hate this new promotional package. Welcome to Crimson Labs, where every species gets the study, care, and attention they deserve. Here at Crimson Labs, we believe variation is the key to not only surviving, but thriving. With the rollout of the RZ3C vaccine, we saw an entire generation of children granted the freedom to roam freely without fear of the moon causing their first turning. Thanks to the continued intensive study of werewolves, we are now able to turn our attention to assisting those suffering from lycanthropy as a whole. And they won't stop there either. I've seen things in these labs throughout this facility that lead me to believe the study of lycanthropy was always a cover, an opportunity for them to be in the public's good graces as they care for a population nobody wants to address, while behind the scenes they craft designer vaccines. To date, none of these vaccines have caused an issue, but I'm afraid the time for silence and following along has come to an end. Early this month, I realized something was very wrong with the RZ3C vaccine. 2 weeks ago, I started to notice a shift in subject 3266, who originally presented with a case of lycanthropy. Or so I thought. The further I looked into her paperwork and the logs of what testing she'd undergone over the course of the past year, the more I began to suspect something was very wrong. I couldn't find anything on subject 3266 dating back to before she was collected and brought here. We don't always have the most thorough record, but when the subjects arrive and before testing can begin, there should be a collecting of everything the subject can remember, from the first time they noticed a desire to shift when experiencing intense emotions, down to a detailed family history, so we can track things both genetically and along their ancestral plane. According to these files, which I now believe to have been heavily tampered with, subject 3266 has none of those things. No markers, no history of near shifts, not even a hint of family history to speak of. I checked, just to be sure, that it was not the case of subject 3266 having been adopted, and that not being noted in her file. I've seen it happen a few times, where the nurse documenting the intake information will either write adoption and nothing more, or will leave it blank altogether. But that wasn't the case with this subject. It's as if her information was entered into the system and then later removed. They don't even have a date of birth listed for subject 3266. She's an adult, but from there I have no idea how old she may be, as her aging process seems to differ from both humans and those affected by lycanthropy. I couldn't seem to make heads or tails of it. That was until I found a set of hidden files on the RZ3C vaccine itself. It would seem that the line of RZ vaccines have a much longer history than I was led to believe when I was assigned to this branch of the lab. I looked into who was removed or retired, opening up the spot for me as the promotion came as more than a bit of a shock, but those files had been sanitized as well. And I know what you're thinking. Maybe that's done for security purposes, right? Maybe at a lab like UC or even at Westmore Diagnostics, who had a set of subjects all die in a single night. But not here. Or so I was led to believe. From what I can tell, the woman whose place I took had been working here at Crimson for nearly 30 years, with no plans to retire. So, why all of a sudden a drastic shift? According to the rumor mill, she just stopped showing up for work one day, And then a week later, someone showed up with her resignation paperwork, all her clearance passes, everything. In addition to noticing all the issues with subject 3266, I have found a hidden file for something called Project Valiant. I know that Dr. Kumar had been working on a project under the same name when she was still with Lucinia Labs, but that was 30 years ago. I just don't see how this could be connected to the lycanthropy branch at all, unless it has something to do with Dr. Kumar. Unfortunately, that was not the strangest part of all the things I found. This Project Valiant began here at Crimson less than a year after Dr. Kumar vanished. Fine. For the sake of accuracy, less than a year after she retired, without ever being seen or heard from again over the past 5 years. Even stranger than that, I found the file on Project Valiant hidden away in a hidden compartment in the wall, in Subject 3266's room. I've been working with Subject 3266 for 3 years, but always under Dr. Manning. While he's been away on vacation the past 3 months, I've been on my own with Subject 3266. I started to notice a shift in her once Dr. Manning was gone. She became more open. What I mean is, she started making eye contact again. They told me when I got here that Subject 3266 was mourning the loss of contact with Dr. Kumar. But it always felt like more than that to me. It felt like Subject 3266 knew what had happened to Dr. Kumar. That, like me, she knew that something horrible had happened to her. And with Dr. Manning away, she let me in. She started making consistent eye contact, going along with the testing again, instead of fighting us tooth and nail for things as simple as a blood test. Something in her shifted. And then when she was escorted out of her room for physical therapy, she gave me this look. It's hard to describe, but it felt urgent. And so I went into her room and had a look around, and there it was. The wall tile beside the foot of her bed was just barely askew. And inside, I found the file on Project Valiant. I found the file, and then I found drawings. So many drawings, obviously done by a child, but the handwriting on the back matches Dr. Kumar. The drawing that stopped me in my tracks was of a little girl standing in front of a set of cages in what had to have been a lab, holding hands with what is labeled as Dr. K. I think Subject 3266 was here at least as young as age 5, or worse. I think she's been here since birth, and I don't think she ever had a trace of lycanthropy. I took a risk and redid a few of her blood tests. I'm just waiting for the results. And just like a scene from a movie, those should be the results. I'm almost afraid to look. There have been whispers for years now that Crimson Labs had uncovered something. A genetic variant meant to cure and eradicate lycanthropy altogether. Perhaps even heal those who are actively turning, both lycan and werewolf alike. But these tests, if what I'm reading is correct, Subject 3266 has the variant, but there's a strain here that doesn't belong. And I think... Oh, God. No. This isn't happening. No, they didn't. They couldn't have. If they used Subject 3266's genetic variant as the basis for the RZ3C vaccine, everyone is in grave danger. Anyone without an iteration of the variant that Subject 3266 has could wind up... I can't believe I'm saying this. A homonecrosis zombies. Zombies. Lycanthropic zombies. RZ3C is going to create lichen and werewolf zombies if they're allowed to finish the testing on Subject 3266 and move forward with distribution. I'm not sure I can trust anyone. If my gut instincts are right, I think maybe Dr. Kumar realized what they were doing. The risk factors involved, and she was gotten rid of. Which means my only solid option is to alter some of the tests on Subject 3266 until I can... God. Until I can break her out of here. And there she is. You don't look any different than me, do you, 3266? Unassuming, but perhaps the most protected entity in this entire corporation. And somehow, I'm supposed to get you out of here without anyone catching on. But first, I have to figure out how the hell I get this file back into your room and hidden in the wall. God, Dora, what have you gotten yourself into this time?